So in today's video we're going to be talking about investing in Path to Glories, as live cards normally do really well out of packs. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch for the cheapest trading guides out there for just £4, €4 or free. With Amazon Prime, you'll receive daily trading and investing guides covering PlayStation, Xbox and PC with an array of methods covering all budgets. And I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million in multiple different FIFAs, and now for the last 4 years I've made 10 million coins in just the first month. In today's video we are going to be answering the question about investing in Path to Glories, which are the best to invest in, when we're going to buy and when we're going to sell. Now, I've done a fair bit of research, generally spent like about half an hour now this morning looking at every live promo we've had this year, then looking at the World Cup and Euro ones we had last year, and I'll be honest with you, it is absolutely, it's a bit of a brain fry, because it is not a very simple answer in terms of there hasn't been a crazy amount of consistency when it's come to trends, but I do think I have the answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I've come to my conclusion on when to buy the Road to Finals, just via what I did this morning. The first thing I did was look at every live team, starting off with Road to the Knockout Stages. So we start off here with Road to the Knockout Stages, who were the cheapest on the Thursday. Over that, Road to the Knockout Stage Team 2 were also the cheapest on the Thursday. Head to the next live promo, which was the Pro Live cards, and these cards were cheapest on the Monday, Tuesday. We then moved to Thunderstruck cards, which if you don't remember were live promo cards, and these were the cheapest on the Monday. We then moved to Road to the Finals, who were the cheapest on the Sunday. We then moved to Foot Fancy Team 1, and they were the cheapest on the Tuesday. We then moved to Foot Fancy Team 2, and they are the cheapest on the Friday. And finally, they had the Team of Season live cards, but these cards just kept dropping and dropping and dropping, so there wasn't really much of a trend to go off of. And the main problem that I come across here is if you pick one of these days but are wrong, you kind of miss out on the investment. For example, if we go and buy on the Sunday, Monday, and then they go and drop in price. For example, if we go and buy on the Sunday, Monday, and then they drop through to Thursday, some of the times the price between the Monday and the price between the Thursday were pretty ugly. Now, one of the main things that I say would actually counter them dropping later in the week is that these cards can start getting upgraded as a 6 days time. Normally, if the cards are going to drop later in the week, it means that people aren't buying them before they get upgraded. But because they potentially will get upgraded or play the games that count towards upgrades in 6 days time, there's potentially a lower chance that people are going to let these cards drop and drop and drop, and more so people are going to start investing, wanting to gamble that the cards are going to rise when they play. Although obviously the risk with this comes that if they drop through to Thursday, you know, the drop between now and Thursday may be more than what they actually rise when they play and, you know, get good results. So what I mean by this is that cards are actually slightly up between the Sunday and the Monday. But you may wonder, why is this a good thing? Surely you want to buy the cards when they're the lowest. Well, not necessarily, because sometimes you can use indicators to know that, okay, the cards are going to start rising now, rather than, okay, the cards are going to start dropping in the week. So what I'm personally invested in is Team of the Weeks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sell them today on the Monday after 6 PM. I'm then going to go and invest the vast majority of my coins into some of those popular Path to Glory cards, gambling that we're now going to see the Monday rising going into their games trend rather than they dropping all the way through to Thursday, because again that's only 2 days before the first game, and as a result I think I'd be surprised if the hype doesn't kick in before that. Then what will happen on the Tuesday, so going back now I guess, or the Wednesday, sorry, is hopefully they'll drop a tradable Team of the Week. Because if they don't drop a tradable Team of the Week, the play would have been for me to hold my Team of the Weeks because they'll do really well. Obviously, if they drop a tradable Team of the Week, the Team of the Weeks are expected to go down. And then I can go and sell maybe some of the Path to Glories if there's been a good rise within 48 hours. If not, what I might do is I may save 1 million or 2 million coins by the side just to go and invest in Team of the Weeks because they're a really easy investment. On top of that, if you don't want to go and gamble with Path to Glories, literally just wait for Team of the Weeks to drop and that's going to be your investment. I'll have a video on it, but, you know, for those that aren't convinced that this is 100% going to be the cheapest, which, you know, never is, there are way more risk-free sort of investment to go for, such as buying Team of the Weeks. Seen with Road to Finals that sometimes they can rise really, really nicely into their first game, especially as the upgrade system with these Path to Glories is if you win your, win one game, you get an upgrade. So it doesn't take much for there to be pre-hype because of course the cards can just get better. Especially with anyone who's SBC fodder, in which we'll talk about later. So if we see really good pre-hype, it basically means the card is then more risky to hold even if they get a good favourable outcome. For example, I remember cards like Emerson, Diaby, and so on were more expensive before they played than after they played. And even if they had a favourable outcome, you know, they won their games, they still didn't rise. And the reason they didn't rise is because people bought them so much in the pre-hype and they're probably so favourite to win that when they did win, no one was buying the cards because anyone who thought they would win already bought the cards. Whereas if the cards aren't very inflated in the first place, then what you can do is either hold till they get their wins or till they get their upgrades, because their upgrades are likely to be a few days later than their wins. So the trend basically is going to be to go and buy today and then either go and sell before their games, depending on how inflated they are. I kind of want the cards to be up at least 20-30% on what I bought them. If If they aren't inflated, they shouldn't really have that much of a risk unless, for example, the rest of the market's crashing and they haven't crashed. As a result, you know, they're inflated on the rest of the market. But yeah, they shouldn't be very risky to hold if they're not inflated. And you may then see the hype start to come around the card when they go and get a win, especially if it's an unfavourable win, or when they go and receive an upgrade, because again, all you need is one win to receive an upgrade. Now we're going to talk about the two sorts of investments you have. One is meta players. These are players that obviously are not SBC fodder, and they're meta. For example, like we showed you earlier, Gavardio. Your second investment is an investment that's very, very quote-unquote risk-free, and that's buying SBC fodder. Now we saw this trend happen left, right and centre with fantasy. This is because we had the base cards weren't amazing SBC fodder, and then what they did is they ended up being like, you know, 89 rated cards, 90 rated cards. And obviously, as you go up the ratings, you can go up the value in SBC fodder. So we saw this happen with Politano very, very fast. We saw he went from 20k all the way there to 54k in not much time. This is because he would have been the price of probably like an 88 here, and eventually went up to a 90, and that would have been the price of a 90. Well, we have the exact same sort of things with Path to Glories. Whereas right now, if I go cheapest by rating, we can see that some of the cheapest by rating are Path to Glories. I believe I need to go here. There you go. Lassia, Antonio, Endoyle, Schick, and Koku. All these cards are SBC fodder at 92 rated. Well, all they need is to win one game, and they go up to a 93 rated. So they go from 26k all the way up here to 35k. So there is a 9k difference, and each one of those teams has 3 chances to go and win a game in the knockout stage to basically go up 9k. Now, obviously, this is in relation to what fodder is now. If fodder goes down in price, that means you won't make as much. If fodder goes up in price, in theory, you then make way better money. Something also to be aware of is actually sometimes it's better to go and sell these cards in the hype of them being a high rated than actually to hold on to them. Because we saw in previous times, sometimes they would actually crash the rating of the fodder if multiple players got upgraded. For example, let's say like 4 out of the 6 of these are all going to get upgraded to be a high rated. That sometimes actually drops fodder, but at least what you do is you see a really nice pre-hype before they get upgraded. And this is especially relevant because with this promo, because this is literally one win. Very low variables for there to be a big price increase. If it was 2 wins, 3 wins, you'd see increments every single time they get a win, but because it's one win, that's literally just one win up 9k. So interestingly enough, every single fodder player is literally a Euro Path to Glory apart from one. I guess it's because they didn't release as many non-Euro ones, and as a result only really selected some of the more top echelon players. We start off here with Lassiter as the first player you can go and buy, which is a fodder. And everyone else here is Euros. We've got Lulic, we've got Solali, we've got ourselves Zalewski, we've got ourselves Koku, we got ourselves Schick. More incentive to gamble on these players because of course the floor that they can go is a lot lower, whereas obviously they can go up 9-10k if they win. So the risk versus reward, even if I guess they don't have the highest percentage odds of winning the game, in terms of the risk factor it's not really that high because there probably isn't much lower they can go because they're already sitting at fodder. On top of this, you're also making a fodder investment. For example, if EA start releasing some real top end SBCs, and we know there's an Enzo Fernandez, we know there's an Array here coming. If they release top end icon SBCs, hero SBCs, whatever next promo is, you know, and they're needing 92, 93 rare cards, you don't even need them to get upgraded because the cards will rise just for them being a 92. So it's a nice little double investment right there. We're now going to move on to the investment that I would dub is a bit riskier, and as a result, it's you know, you're likely to see more pre-hype, but as a result, if unfavourable outcomes happen, you know, if Spain lose to whatever made-up team they play against, then these sort of cards might take more of a hit. Now, the way we decide which meta cards to go and buy isn't just, oh, I think he looks good. We use statistics because we're boring. What we're going to do is we're going to go down into PGP. This is player game performance and shows me the most used players. From here, what I can do is I can go through any of the squads, the Central America Path to Glories, the Euro Path to Glories, the whatever the icon and hero promo is. And what I can do from here is I can see how many games each player has had. For example, I can see that Capdevila has had 3.7 thousand games played with since release. But if I go and compare him to Path to Glory players, I can see Jan Oblak has had 8.5k. So what you want to do here is you basically want to use the most used players, but if there are players that are more expensive being used as much as players who are cheap, there are sometimes an even better investment. So for example, right here, Gavardio is being used almost as much as Oblak. But because Gavardio is more expensive, there's a chance that he has a higher demand to supply ratio. Because the reason that Oblak could be used a lot is because, you know, he's 75k and there's a lot of supply. Whereas the reason Gavardio could be used a lot is because maybe more demand rather than being high supplied. Which as a result means we can see these cards doing really well in the pre-hype because we know that there aren't as many people supplying the Gavardios for the amount of people that want to buy them. So as a result, let's go through some investments. We're going to start with the Euro Path to Glories, and I do like the likes of Jan Oblak. He, on the verge, has actually SBC fodder going for him, but obviously we've seen goalkeepers do quite well. It's a little bit subjective with, are EA going to release any goalkeeper SBCs? Are they going to release any in the next promo team? We've seen EA neglect goalkeepers in promo teams all the time, and therefore them doing really well out of packs. So as a result, Jan Oblak is a nice little investment. Following Jan Oblak with almost as many games yet being expensive is Gavadio. I've kind of used him as an example all through the video, but that's because he should do really, really nicely in the pre-hype. Apart from that, that's about it, because I generally don't see the point of going for Sabitzer and the point of going for some of these cards if Gavadio is being used significantly more. Central America Path Glories are actually being used a significantly amount less than the Euro ones. Euro ones had like 7,000–8,000 games played with, whereas these most popular ones have 5,000 games played with. As a result, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really that keen on investing in any of these guys because I just generally think the Euro players will outperform them. On top of that, I'm pretty sure the South American tournament doesn't actually start till like a week after. Because it doesn't start till a week after, you're waiting even longer on the upgrades, so that's another reason why I'd hold off buying the South American players. We then move to the icons, and Schmeichel has an insane amount of games being played with him. I think he's the most used even out of like cheap Path to Glories. That makes him a very nice investment. On top of that, Balak's got an insane amount of games. Now, if they lose to Scotland in the opening, that might be a bit ropey for him. But again, lots of games being played with, especially bear in mind he's a 448k card, so I think that's a really nice investment. Even then going down to Nedved, I think Nedved with 6,000 games being played is not bad, especially with being a nice cheaper card. Then we head on to the heroes, where the only two you could buy would be the European, and 700k and 1.5 million with only 4,000 games played. I'd probably hold off of it. So that is the meta players covered, that's the fodder covered. Now what you're going to do, again regarding selling these cards, is if they're up 20% in the pre-hype, sell them in the pre-hype, or if they're not 20% in the pre-hype of the first game, you know, then you might want to go and sell them. It is a little bit subjective on what the next promo is. If the next promo is underwhelming, you can expect to see these cards do very, very well. If the next promo is as good, if not better cards, there is a chance that SBCs or promo cards may replace the players, even with the hype of them getting upgraded. You know, it all got, obviously I can tell you what the normal trends are, and that's live cards normally do well out of packs, but I can't guarantee there won't be SBCs, Evos or anything that replace them. But you know, it's the gamble you take, because more times than not there won't be something that replaces them, which is why we invest in them, because it's a favourable investment. But yeah, that's going to be about that. It isn't the easiest trend because there has been contradicting trends left, right and centre. I was looking at last year's cards, and I think because there were two Path to Glory teams, Path to Glory Team 1 didn't do that well, especially as I think it was released like 1 or 2 weeks before the tournament started. So it took a week for there to be pre-hype, and 1 week later there was already more cards replacing them. So it's a bit awkward. Whereas right now we've got the Path to Glory literally starting or ending just a few days before the tournament, which I think the pre-hype would do a lot better. But that is going to wrap that up. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.